The Roman army was the main ingredient in the history of ancient Rome. He who controlled the army controlled the empire, but the reverse was also true. It was not uncommon that the army enthroned the emperor, and it was he who served the legions, not the other way around. Also, different legions many times tried to put their own pretender on the throne. The ancient battles and their outcomes are often mentioned, their victors celebrated and defeated shunned, the generals immortalized in stone. But what about the ordinary Roman soldier, or even an officer? They who cried, bled and sweat on the battlefield. Not as many mentions remain of them, but if you know where and how to look, slowly we can unravel stories of these men. Far from complete, but nonetheless intriguing and impressive. These are just a few examples of men who fought for and served for their empire and the glory of Rome. To find these clues of Roman soldiers, we must look at the remains of inscriptions left by them, or those set up in their honor, both in their home and in places far away, where they fought or stayed during their service. But most returned home, especially during the period of Pax Romana, and as veterans they received a deserved plot of land and became members of the elite in their settlement. Some retreated to the countryside, and some even received statues and inscriptions placed in their honor. The first example is of the Aelli Brothers. Both Marinus and Marcianus were members of the city council of Poetovio, one of the most prominent cities between Danube and Adriatic. Their father, or perhaps their grandfather, received Roman citizenship at the time of Hadrian, and later, most probably during the reign of Antoninus Pius, were risen to the social or property-based rank of equites, the so-called knights or cavalrymen. This enabled them to enter higher-ranking positions within the military. The two brothers became prefects of separate cohorts. Marcianus, probably younger of the two, served in Germania, while Marinus' cohort was stationed either in Dacia or with his brothers in Germania. In Poetovio, they built a sarcophagus for their parents. The city was flourishing during the time of the two emperors Hadrian and Antoninus Pius, the former additionally restoring the bridge over the river Dravus. The two brothers, growing up in this golden age of the empire, had outstanding careers, especially compared to the municipal elite. They valued their family and their empire, two motives in the centerpiece of ancient Romans. Leading your own cohort is impressive enough, but there was a military position that sparked unparalleled envy and admiration: the Praetorians. These were the elite of the elite. The Praetorian Guard served as both Emperor's bodyguards and his intelligence agents. With that in mind, they were also important political figures, and their power often got the better of them. At least 4 times they themselves executed or rather assassinated their emperor. Regardless of their service and disservice, the recruits for the Praetorian Guard were only chosen among the bravest, most promising and, at the same time, most civilized candidates. It is no surprise then that they initially enlisted only soldiers from Italy and most Romanized provinces. Many Praetorians are known from Imola, the last city of Italy, positioned at the region's far northeastern edge. Even more Praetorians came from Poetovio, though from a later period. Among them, one deserves a special mention, whose tombstone shows immense camaraderie and friendship that could be found not just among Praetorians, but all soldiers of the empire. The tombstone reads, "In this tomb lies a special friend named Ulpius Tertius, a soldier of the 4th Praetorian cohort of the Ingenuas Centuria, born in Poetovio, who served in the army for 11 years, 5 months and 16 days, and lived for 33 years and 2 months. This tombstone was set up for the greatest comrade by Aurelius Restitutus, Rex Speculator, and Julian Iulianus, his brothers in arms and heirs. Hail Tertius, and farewell." The tombstone was found in Rome, far from Tertius' birthplace, and it would appear that here he found a new family for himself among his comrades. One can only imagine that just 2 months prior to his death, he and his friends celebrated his 33rd birthday. Such a strong bond they formed that comrades could even become heirs to their brothers in arms. The bond that developed among soldiers was especially strong among men who were stationed far away from home. Such was the case of the Pannonians, Roman citizens of Celtic and Illyrian origins, particularly tribes of Sisciani, Varsiani and Latobici. These served in cohorts stationed in Upper Pannonia but were later transferred to Iuadea. Far from home, away from their friends and loved ones, they felt their identity differently, stronger than before. No longer were they people of different tribes, they were all Pannonians, stuck together in a foreign land. They bonded closer together, and together they dedicated an altar to Jupiter, best and greatest. In the 2nd century AD, they fought in a Jewish rebellion, either the Caetus War during the time of Emperor Trajan or the Bar Kokhba uprising under Emperor Hadrian. During this time, Rome prospered in its golden age, and since wars were a rarer occurrence than otherwise, the Romans could afford to transfer armed units from farther ends of the empire to the danger zone with little risk to their defense. The conflict between the two groups had a large religious component, so it is no wonder that the soldiers applied to Jupiter for health and victory. Despite that, there were many casualties on both sides, and many never returned home. We mentioned 2 brothers who built a tomb for their parents, but some sons died early in their service and had to be buried by their parents instead. For example, young Aurelius Istinus, who served in the 2nd Legion Italica, died aged just 23 while on a Dacian campaign. His body was returned to Celeia and was given a proper funeral by his parents. His father, Aurelius Vestinus, was also a military veteran, suggesting that here too existed families with military legacy. People from far away also found their way to the heart of Europe. Serving in the same 2nd Legion Italica, a Syrian Decurio came to distant Celeia with his family, perhaps with an intent to perform a public office. Many beneficiaries also served in Celeia. These were officers below the rank of centurion and had administrative duties. Their roles and duties depended on who was their superior. They could make arrests and carry out punishments meted by the courts. Essentially, they acted as an armed police force. Later, special beneficiary way stations were erected across provinces from where they operated. Also preserved, while rarer, are letters written by Roman soldiers, be it by their former comrades or families. One of such examples was a letter from Apion, an Egyptian youth who, having enlisted in the Roman army in company with other boys from his little village in Egypt, bade his family goodbye and embarked on a great imperial ship to sail from Alexandria to Italy. After a dangerous voyage, he arrived safely at Misenum, a Roman war harbor near Naples, and hastened ashore in his new uniform to have a small portrait of himself painted and to send his father a letter. It was written for him in Greek on papyrus in a beautiful hand by a hired public letter writer and reads as follows. Apion to Epimachos, his father and lord, many good wishes. First of all, I hope that you are in good health and that all goes well with you and with my sister and her daughter and my brother always. I thank the Lord Serapis that he saved me at once when I was in danger in the sea. When I arrived at Misenum, I received from the Emperor 3 gold pieces as road money, and I'm getting on fine. I beg of you, my Lord Father, write me a line, first about your own well-being, second about that of my brother and sister, and third in order that I may devotedly greet your hand, because you brought me up well and might therefore hope for rapid promotion, the gods willing. Give my regards to Capiton, and my brother and sister, and Serenilla and my friends. I send you by Euctmeton my little portrait. My name is Antonius Maximus. I hope that it may go well with you. On the left margin of the letter, other village boys who enlisted with Apion wrote home their own regards. Folded and sealed, the letter went by the great Roman military post, arrived safely, and was read by the young soldier's waiting father and family in the little village by the Nile over 1700 years ago. 10 years later, after the old father had died, it was lost in the household's rubbish, and there the modern excavators found it among the crumbling walls of the house. The ancient letter had some holes in it, but with it was found another letter, written by our soldier to his sister years later, after he had long been stationed somewhere on the Roman frontier and had a wife and children of his own. And that is all that the rubbish heaps of the village on the Nile have preserved of this lad who entered the army of the great Roman Empire in the 2nd century AD. 2 famous Roman officers from the heart of Europe were Titus Varius Clemens and Marcus Valerius Maximianus. The first one became head secretary of emperors Marcus Aurelius and Lucius Verus, while the latter led Roman legions far into barbaric lands beyond the Roman frontier. To learn more about their amazing exploits and careers, check out the next video about the Romanization and Roman life in the heart of Europe. Be sure to like, subscribe, you know how YouTube works, and I'll bring you more history soon.